Okay, and we are live on Facebook. I'm going to turn on the recording and I'm going to start admitting people.
Oh, we're going to start. It's not even 12 o'clock.
But you can chit chat.
I'll chit chat. I'm going to chit chat.
You're live.
No. All right. Here we go. Hey, Todd, what's up, man? All right. Look at this. Let's get on the chat. Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. There's a lot of people coming on. This is fantastic. Hi, everybody. Can you hear me? If you can, do like this with your head. Todd, can you hear me? You're just staring.
Yes, we can hear you.
Oh, you unmuted yourself, dog.
Take a minute. Good to see you.
Oh, this is fantastic. This is wonderful.
Boker Tov.
Boker Mitsuyan, which means fantastic morning. I love it. There's Rabbi Fox. This is, do you remember, what was the show? Not Romper Room. Was it Romper Room?
The Brady Bunch?
No, Romper Room, when at the end, would she hold up the magic mirror? And
Yes, that was Romper Room.
yes, and then you say like, and I see. So
Oh, no. Hobo Kelly.
no, I don't know. I think it was Romper Room. No, what did she hold up the window? And it was, I see so and so. Is like this was the first day, and you were so excited. You had to send. Now you had to send in your. I remember we used to send in your request by mail to have her read your name on the television show, and now you could just type it away and say, "Hey, can you take a look at me on the?" This is fantastic. Look at all these fabulous people. Wow. All right, 12 o'clock. Oh, got some more people joining. This is fantastic. People are just popping in. There's Michael, Sukasa. I love it. Look at all these fabulous people. There's a lot of books there. Impressive. Oh, this is great. Harold put up the picture of Wilshire Boulevard Temple. I love it. I mean, you see there's like, but there's nothing next to it. That's I wonder what year that picture was taken, but I do love it. All right. Muted. So why don't we're going to get started, I think. So thank you all for being here. Shabbat Shalom, everyone. Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom. So before we begin, why don't we say a little blessing over some study of Torah. The final words, the first part of the blessing, for those of you who may or may not be familiar, is pretty much similar. Whoa! Look at that hair. That's amazing. Look at that picture. Harold looking good. The blessing goes a little something like this. So the final words are la'asok b'divrei Torah. La'asok b'divrei Torah. The first part is pretty much the same as most blessings that you're familiar with. So it goes a little something like this. So we'll say together. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kidshanu b'mitzvotav vetzivanu. Now here are the words. La'asok b'divrei Torah, which literally means to get busy with some things of Torah. But one of my favorite understandings of this word was by a second grader in religious school who says, I know what that means. La'asok b'divrei Torah means that we should soak ourselves in Torah. We're going to soak ourselves in Torah. And that's exactly what we're going to be doing right now. L'chaim, Rabbi Fox. All right. So before we get started, I have a question that I want all of us to answer. And here's what we're going to do. I'm going to go all the way through. And hear some of these answers. So I'm just going to start right here with Rabbi Fox. Here's the question. And funny, I'm starting with Rabbi Fox because this is going to be, you'll see why in a second, why she's going to feel like, oh, I can't believe you asked me this question. Here it is. Where you live right now, how long have you lived in this place? How long have you lived in this place? See, Rabbi Fox, so I'm going to unmute you. Oh, you're unmuted. Go ahead, Rabbi Fox.
38 years.
38 years. Wow, 38 years. All right. Now I'm going to unmute J and K Uslin. How long have you been in where you live right now? Still there. J and K Uslin, are you there? Well, sorry, we'll come back to you. Harold, how long have you been in the house that you live in?
30 years.
30 years. Wow, 38 years. Okay, now we're going to thank you very much. Valerie, how long have you been in the house that you live in?
Less than 5 years.
Less than 5 years. Fabulous. Do you know, were there other owners prior to you?
Oh, I'm sure the house was built in 1937.
Okay, the house was built in 1930. Wow, amazing. Mine too. Wow. And we're the third owners. 1937, we're the third owners. So Valerie, you've been in your house less than 5 years. Okay, thank you. Marvin, how long have you been in the house that you're in?
This is Miriam.
Oh, Miriam.
Hi, Rabbi.
Hi, Miriam.
I don't necessarily want my face showing, but
That's
we've
fine.
lived in our house on Maryland Drive, right near the Federation, for 52 years.
52 years. Are you the first owners?
No, we are not.
No, you're not. All right, 52 years. Wow. Okay, moving next. We got Roy. What's up?
There we go. Keep on muting me.
Oh, sorry, sir.
It's okay, no problem. How long have I lived in the house? Well, I'll qualify it. We bought the house in 1960, and that's when I first moved in it. Then I moved up to the Bay Area to Berkeley and lived up in there for 35 years, and I've been back for about 3 now.
Fantastic. Wow. Okay. Thank you, sir.
So 60 years we've had the house.
Well, that's interesting. All right, let's hold on to that. He said it's 60 years they've had the house. All right, let's just hold on to that idea. Oh, and also we are getting somewhere, I promise. This is not just, for conversation's sake. All right. Why can't I unmute you, Talia?
Hi.
There you go. How long have you been in the house that you're in right now?
So I bought it 21 years ago, but I ripped it down about 6 years ago and rebuilt it.
Oh my God, rebuilt it. Fantastic. Thank you, Talia. Donna. Donna, are you there? No. Okay, let's go. Sukasa. Sukasa, can you,
Years.
how many? Say it again.
22 years. I'm
22 years. Amazing. Thank you. Todd, can you unmute yourself?
Am I unmuted?
Yes. How long have you been in the house?
Well, we bought the original house in 95, so 25 years ago.
Mhm.
And then in 99, 2000, we tore it down to the ground and rebuilt the current structure.
Fantastic.
So 25 years.
25
total.
years. Thank you. Michael, bring us home. How many years have you been in this house?
About 35 years since I moved to Los Angeles.
Okay, fantastic. So now here's the next question. What did you do to make this house a home? What is the difference here between making this house, just this structure, your home? And we see, like what Roy was saying, they've owned the structure for 60 some odd years, but in different times they've lived in it, right? He was up in the Bay Area for 30 some odd years. How do you make this house a home? And what is the difference? Let's talk about that first. What's the difference between a house and a home? If you have something to say, I'm going to ask that you either raise your hand in the video, or if you know how to raise your hand on the chat so I can see your little hand raised over here. If you have something to say, what's the difference between a house and a home, and how did you begin to make this house your home? Go ahead, Talia.
Hi, can you hear me?
I can.
Fabulous. So one of the things was to not be afraid to let it get messy. And my mom told me that my dad's mother told her that if there's no dirt, there's no life.
No dirt,
And
no life.
The other thing is to put beautiful art in it that gave me good feelings.
Oh, beautiful. I love it. No dirt, no life. And if it's not messy, it's not lived in, and beautiful art to give it good feelings. Good. Thank you. Thank you. Anybody else? How do you make this house, this structure, right? This structure that you've either built or purchased or moved into even 5 years ago? How do you make it? How do you make it a home? All right, Todd, unmute yourself. Go.
Yeah, so like I said, we tore down the house and rebuilt it. So we spent quite a bit of time when we designed it to make it sort of very open for entertaining. You can see I'm sitting here actually in our dining room, kitchen right behind me, which is very open to the den. We love to entertain. We have the family here. We have friends here. We love to feed people. So it was designed very conducive to all of that.
Beautiful. Okay, so you were able to make the choice to build it around you rather than just something that you walked into. It's something that you could build around yourself, and you're filling it with food. You're filling it with people. You're filling it with life. Fabulous.
That's
Good.
right.
I love it. Fantastic. I'm gonna call on Rabbi Fox because I've been over there for meals and whatnot, hanging out, and it definitely feels like a home. How do you make your house, your structure, Rabbi Fox, really feel like a home?
Well, I think at this point it's lots of memories.
Oh.
I also, when Mickey and I got married, his grandmother gave us her Shabbat candles.
Okay.
So that's been on our mantles now for almost 40 years. And we have carpets that my mother's family sent from Germany in a lift. And those are Oriental carpets, Kurdistani and all. Anyway, they have like a rich orange and maroon and blue color scheme that's throughout. And I think for me, that adds a lot of it. And I have my dad's artwork.
Oh,
which has
this is beautiful.
also been, and a lot of pictures that I'm not sure what I'm going to do with.
Because Karen Fox is moving, Rabbi Fox is moving. That's why when I started the question for her, I was like, oh, he started with Rabbi Fox. She's been there for so long, and now she's going to be creating new homes with new memories. So that's another thing. Yes. So it's memories, right? It's also the colors. It's the things that we've brought with us from other family members, right? From other places and bringing them in. We see that Jason Meshes just joined our Torah study. So I have a question. I'm going to unmute. Jason, here's a question for you. How do you turn your apartment, this structure, how have you turned it into a home? And would you mind also sharing a little bit about the Kiddush cup, your family's Kiddush cup, if you remember?
Oh, wow. I do, yeah. Well, hi, everybody. Good morning. Happy Friday. Shabbat Shalom. So our apartment, I hope everyone can hear me okay. Our apartment, it becomes a home by filling it with music. Every single day, we almost every day wake up with some kind of dance music, and that's how we get our bodies moving. And I think filling this tiny space that we have here in Santa Monica with as much music as we possibly can, and then more so during this current climate, we've been extending that to our neighbors. And every Friday night, we've been out on the porch, leading our entire building in music. And we're doing it again tonight. And people have been bringing out pots and pans and guitars on their porches, and everyone's singing along. So that's how we do it over here.
I love it. Thank you, Jason. And give us a little taste about that, your Kiddush cup.
Oh, the Kiddush cup. Yeah. my father was having a birthday, and we wanted to get him a new Kiddush cup because his old Kiddush cup, and it stains in it, and there was a chip on the bottom from when he dropped it at my bar mitzvah, and there was a scratch on the top from the great Hanukkah incident of 1994. And so my sister and I, we were like, oh, we're gonna get Dad a new Kiddush cup for his birthday. And on his birthday, he called, he said, thank you so much for the Kiddush cup. It's gonna look great on the mantle. And we said, no, Dad, the point was for you to replace the old one. And he was like, well, why? It's got the stains in it, and it's got the scratch in the bottom from when we dropped it at your bar mitzvah, and it's got the thing in the top from the great Hanukkah incident in 1994. And we were like, yeah, we know, that's why you gotta get rid of it. And he was like, no, that's why I keep using it, because it's got all these memories on it, and it's a beautiful moment. So he said, look, if we got a new thing that we're celebrating, we'll use the new cup. But anything that we've already done before, we're going to use the old cup. I said, all right, Dad, you win.
Thank you, Jason. Roy, so it was fascinating what you said. You've owned the house that you're in right now. You've owned it for 60 some odd years, but you were up in the Bay Area for 30 some odd years and then came back down. Was the house that you're in right now, did that always still feel like home, or was that, just like another place? Does it still call it a home base or not?
How do I want to say? So my parents lived there continuously from 1960 until when my mother passed away in 2015. I won't get into details. No and yes, it was home.
Yeah.
I would say I'm making it my home because I'm a Jewish convert, and so I was Episcopalian before that, and then as were my parents. And so what I'm doing now is making my house a Jewish home.
Oh, next level. Roy's taking it next level.
So, I'd say the most important thing is bringing my books in my library down and then building up my Jewish library. Then I'll, the house has to get painted. I'll, get the mezuzah on the door sill, on the sills, etc. And so, and then, seeing what from the family silver I can use for, the various rituals, but then also getting, Havdalah accessories and, my Seder plates, etc. So
beautiful.
It's a process.
Thank you, Roy. I love it. So, okay, here's why I'm asking these questions. So up until this week in our Torah, we're starting a new book of the Torah. We're starting Vayikra, which is also known as Leviticus. But Vayikra in Hebrew starts off as, and God called to Moses, right? Okay, God called to Moses. Didn't just say to Moses, God called to Moses. And here's what we're going to be doing. The last few Torah portions have been all about actually building the Mishkan, or the traveling sanctuary, right? It's in great detail, tons and tons and tons of detail. We're talking about all the different materials. We're talking about the size. We're talking about the structure. We're talking about we're using gold and we're using silver and we're using dolphin skin, and it's going to be this tall and it's going to be this tall and it's going to be this wide and it's going to be this, and all about the beautiful, beautiful building of it, right? In great, great, great detail, all the way up until this point. And now things begin to change. This Torah portion is all about the life that happens inside of this structure. In other words, turning this house or this building into a real home. And how are they going to do that? Right? By really putting themselves into it, and it's gonna get disgusting and messy, right? What did you say, Talia? Without the dirt, it's not a home. Well, these guys are taking it to the next level. All right, so what do I mean by that? So in this week's portion, it's all about the different sacrifices which we're going to get to what that means in a little bit, all about the different sacrifices that are offered in the tabernacle or in the Mishkan or in the traveling sanctuary. And when we say the sacrifices, right, what are we referring to? What are we referring to? Let's just take a guess. If you've got something to say, raise your hand and I will unmute you. What does that mean, the sacrifices? All right, Ivan.
Animal sacrifices. Why?
All right, we're talking about animal sacrifices.
Fat burning on the altar.
Oh, all right. So now we're
Really
getting
good.
to it.
Yeah.
We're getting to it. So
Barbecue,
animal
barbecue.
sacrifices.
Barbecues.
Barbecue. All right. Now, this is like animals that barbecue. This is not just like the fabulous barbecue I have in my backyard. We're like, oh my goodness, this smells really good and it's just fantastic. I got my whole area over here. No. We're talking about real disgusting. There's blood everywhere. It's dirt. It's like smoke is rising and there's ash everywhere. It's real disgusting detail of all of this. As much of the beautiful detail that we have for the sanctuary building, we have the disgusting detail about what's going on in this week's portion. For example, I'm just going to read a little section for you. Check this out. This is disgusting, but also fantastic. Before we continue, who has actually with them a book? Does anybody have with them the Tanakh or the Torah commentary or anything like that? Oh, fabulous. All right, so I'm going to give you a second to open. We're at Leviticus 1, 14 through 17. Leviticus 1, or Vayikra Aleph, Leviticus 1, 14 through 17. Check this out. As much as it was so beautiful to build the Mishkan, look at this beautiful gold, look at beautiful silver, the dolphin skin. I don't know where they got dolphin skin in the wilderness, but the beautiful dolphin skin. Check this out. If his offering to Adonai is a burnt offering of birds, he shall choose his offering from turtle doves or pigeons. Get ready. The priest shall bring it to the altar and pinch off its head and turn it into smoke on the altar. And its blood shall be drained out against the side of the altar. He shall remove its crop with its contents and cast it into the place of the ashes at the east side of the altar. The priest shall tear it open by its wings without severing it and turn it into smoke on the altar upon the wood that is on the fire. It is a burnt offering, an offering by fire of pleasing odor to Adonai. Pleasing odor to Adonai. So this is pretty descriptive, pretty vivid. So let me ask you this question. Why are we sharing so much detail and so graphic about this offering? Why are we doing this? If you've got an idea, please raise your hand. Why? All right. Unmute yourself and share your idea. Harold, you got to unmute over there. All right, go.
Okay, they go into detail because every animal, every person has a little gift. And so the head, the blood, everything, every little part of it is explicit because it's a gift. And you want to like be thankful for little gifts.
Well, that is really interesting. How did you get from the description to that idea? Talk to us about your thought process there.
Okay, my path of learning is this. Every animal, every person, every little thing has a detail. So like a flower, you can say the beautiful petals, the stem, the smell, count how many petals, they're not all alike. And with cats, each one, even though it's just a cat, it looks different, it meows different, it's bigger, smaller, different colors, different teeth. Everything is different. So it's like a gift.
Beautiful. Okay, so we're offering this gift. So we want to be as detailed as possible as this gift, which is very interesting because in the previous Torah portions, it's also described in the same way that everybody is offering, right, from their heart, whatever moves them that they're bringing and they're giving to create this this outside facade and everything on the inside. But now we're talking about the real way of basically living as Jews, right? All of these sacrifices, this is the way that they lived as Jews. And what's so interesting, when we talk about these sacrifices, there were multiple types. There were actually 5 different types of sacrifices. I'm going to give you just an overview of all of them. I'll give you an overview of all of them, and we'll discuss this in just a second. So the first kind is called the Olah offering, or the or the burnt offering. And that, don't look at this just yet, but I'm just going to give you the citations for it. The Olah offering is found in Leviticus 1 through 17. And the Olah offering, or probably the best known, it was the oldest and most common type of sacrifice, representing like submission to God's will. The word Olah, right, in Hebrew means to go up, right? So I'm like offering everything I am, everything of my being, and the entire offering itself was burnt up, right? None of it was shared. It wasn't used as a meal or anything like that. The entire thing was given up. I'm offering everything of myself, right? Let's keep that idea in mind. Offering everything of myself. The second type was called the mincha, or the food and drink offering, right? And this one is described in Leviticus 2, 1 through 16. And this is basically like your meal offering, representing the fruits of our labor, right? Things that we are able to prepare, not something necessarily in just its natural state, but something that created through our own efforts. Like something, all right, we've made this, but we know it's not just for us, so I'm going to give you a little piece as well. Almost like when we do, when we make challah, right? When we make challah, we always take off a little piece, and one of the traditional ways, when you bake challah, you take a little piece and you burn it up in the oven as well as a representation of this. All right, then the third type of offering is the zevach shlamim, or sacrifice of well-being. And what exactly does that mean? It's like a peace offering. This actually goes back to what we were talking about earlier when you talk about gratitude, right? We're saying thank you for what we have, who we are, and it's like this wholeness and peace offering. The fourth kind is called the chatat, or the sin offering, right? It's to atone for any of our sins, like an expression of sorrow and error, which is very interesting, right? We have this other idea, chatat, or missing the mark. Where has anybody heard that idea before? Missing the mark in a different service or a different holiday that maybe we celebrate around the fall. What do you think? Holiday. If you said Yom Kippur, you'd be correct. Yes, when we talk about Yom Kippur and al chet shachatati, right? We do like this, al chet shachatati, for the sin that we did, then we say that we're missing the mark. So here in this offering is sort of similar to that. And the final one is called asham, or the guilt offering, also Yom Kippur. Ashamnu, do you remember this one? Ashamnu, bagadnu, we hear these words. It's a guilt offering to also help with the atoning of the sins. But they're a little bit more specific, like in breach. It's something that you would offer if there was like a breach of trust, or kind of like admission of wrongdoing towards another person. Okay. So here we go. This is interesting here. The Hebrew word for this sacrifice or offering get ready for this, the Hebrew word for the sacrifice or offering is, get ready for this, korban, korban, okay? Or in plural is korbanot, korbanot. Now, before I translate the word, let's talk about, or literally translate the word, let's talk about how they are usually translated. They're translated as offering or sacrifice. Offering or sacrifice. And when we look at this word, with these words, offering or sacrifice, it is something as if we are giving, right? We're giving over, or that we are getting rid of, or we are losing a piece of, right? It's something that I am giving up. When I offer something, it's like I had something, I'm giving it to you, now I don't have it anymore, right? Or I'm sacrificing, meaning it was something that I was doing or had, or but now I'm sacrificing it, I no longer have it anymore, right? That's one way to look at it. The other way, if you look at the word korban, korban comes from the Hebrew word karov, which means close. So korban means to draw close or to get closer, right? So if we think about it that way, we are offering these getting closer things to God, right, as a way of getting closer to God. It was their way of worship, right? The difference between sacrifice, giving up versus drawing closer, two different meanings, two different understandings of what that could mean. So what were they doing here, right? This was their way of practicing and expressing Jewish life, right? By giving of themselves, giving of the things that they have, they were in turn getting closer to God, right? Rather than just, I'm getting rid of something, right? I am giving up something and I am now less, or I now have less, right? Rather than thinking about it that way, it's about now I actually have more. Now I'm closer with God. I'm connected with God. This is the way that I do that. This is very interesting, I think, specifically in the times that we are in right now, right? We can look at our times in our homes in multiple ways, right? I was actually, I'll tell you, I just had the same conversation, get ready for this, with some second graders. And we chatted about this idea. What are things that we've had to give up, right? Or sacrifice in our lives right now and being at home, right? We've sacrificed the close contact. We've sacrificed, I mean, for those of you who know me, is like this social distancing stuff is hard because I'm a hugger. I'm a high fiver, right? I'm a handshaker. I crave contact, right? And right now, looking at it that I am sacrificing that part of myself. And I think that all of us are kind of feeling that right now, that there's things that we are sacrificing in our lives, and it's tough. But maybe why don't we look at it the other way, right? How are we drawing closer? And what exactly does that mean, right? When we're talking with these kids, they were like, well, man, drawing closer to my family. They're spending more time with their family and their friends, right? Whether it's over Zoom or with their dogs, which was really, really special as I was talking about that. But we think about this, it's even drawing closer to the people that we don't know, right? Because we're taking care of the community by staying home. And in doing that, we're drawing closer to them. We're drawing closer to the people who need us to stay home, to take care of them, who aren't as necessarily blessed or as lucky as we are, right? So it's a different way of looking at it. And again, it's about the detail. It's all about the detail, really putting all of who we are and everything that we do into making these choices. Which is very interesting, I think, to think about what it means to make sacrifice and it means to make these homes for ourselves. Let me ask you this question. Yeah.
Actually, on that, the sacrifice thing, we had imagined that our kids would be here for Pesach and for sort of a
Yeah.
last Seder in our house. And instead, we're reimagining a Seder
Oh, that's beautiful.
in Vienna,
Mm-hmm.
in Brooklyn, and in Los Angeles. Now, it means that our Seder will be about 7:30 in the morning the days, but that in this new dimension, to be able to be together in ways we haven't on Passover.
That's beautiful. Thank you, Rabbi Fox. That was the perfect lead in to what the question was going to be for all of us. How have you been? It's a two-pronged question. What are things that you feel like you've had to sacrifice during these last few weeks and maybe even moving forward in order to draw close to those whom you love and really to our greater community? So it's a two-pronged question. What are you feeling like you've had to sacrifice in order to then draw close to those whom you love and our greater community? So if anybody would like to share, give a hand, raise a hand, and then we'll unmute you. Jody, please.
I think for me, one of the things, I mean, like everybody, human contact, close contact with people, being able to hug, like you said, has been a very big sacrifice. And seeing people. The other sacrifice, which feels so small for so many people, but for me is a very big sacrifice, is that I've really had to let go of my kind of obsessive neatness and compulsiveness around that stuff, because I'm trying to work, I'm trying to participate virtually in the community. I'm like an obsessive Passover cleaner. I usually start in January or February, and I've just had to kind of let go of some of that stuff in order to have more time with my kids, a little more shalom bayit with having people feel like they can just spread out and be themselves and not worry about my like craziness around neatness and Passover cleaning and going through every item and making sure we get the crumbs out of every corner of our house. But what I've gained, which I think was the second part of your question, is, normally at night my kids go, they do their homework, and then they play video games or they hang out with their friends. But they've been really amenable to like a family hour every night, and we've picked something different. And I made challah today, thanks to your wife, for the first time in like a decade, because I didn't have 2 hours of commuting. Like, I'm working, but I threw everything together. I used the welcome to my kitchen video that you guys did. And I got to make challah for the first time in, I mean, truly more than a decade, because I could, like, I'd let it rise for an hour while I worked, and then I could quickly grate it, let it rise. So I feel like there are some beautiful things. I've never been able to spend Shabbat with my parents in the Palisades. We're all FaceTiming, lighting candles. We're all FaceTiming Havdalah together. So I feel like I've gained, the way I said it this morning to my husband was, I always do Shabbat, but now I feel like I'm experiencing Shabbat. And that's something that.
Wow.
So it's been just, I mean, there's some really beautiful things.
Thank you, Jody. That was beautiful. It's also hard work, right? To be able to create all that and to get to that point is really hard work. Just like the building of the tabernacle is really hard work. Just like going through the details of these sacrifices is not easy. This is all really hard work. So in order to get to that point, right, what you're giving up and at the same time what you're gaining, all takes a lot of hard work. Great. Anyone else wants to share? What is something that you feel like you've had to sacrifice, but at the same time, in another way in your life that you are also gaining? What do you think? Well, it's interesting for me. We recently moved my 87-year-old uncle, Fred, out from Florida. We recently moved him out here to Los Angeles to be closer to his sister, my mom, so my parents, and to us. And even we moved him out here, and we still did. I didn't talk to him every day, but now with what's going on, we've scheduled a time where we are FaceTiming with him every day, FaceTiming every day with my parents who live in Long Beach, FaceTiming every day with my in-laws who live in Omaha, Nebraska, and with my children. So it's like we're actually talking to them more now than we did prior to this time. You know, with the same thing, understand, I don't want to deny the pain and the suffering and the challenges that we are really also feeling, right? We don't deny those things, for sure don't deny those things. And at the same time, we really need to, in order to keep living, not just focus on those things, right? To be able to do this. So I was also very lucky that I went down before all this kookiness started. I went down to Long Beach to help him with his iPhone, so he could actually figure out how to do the FaceTime, even though most of the time he's like this, hello, hello. You know, I was like, no, Uncle Freddie, you gotta just move the phone down a little bit like that. So yeah. we're working on it with it, which is fantastic, I mean, the Finkel family over here, you guys look perfect. You guys looking good over there.
Good, thank you.
So good. Anybody else want to share something that, yes, please, Valerie, can you unmute yourself?
Okay, not as deep as Karen's or Jody's, but I'm a real yoga practice aficionado, and I miss my yoga practice and the community in the yoga studio.
Absolutely.
But I've been getting closer to my dog.
Oh,
and my husband and I go for long walks. So he might call it a forced march, but we we go for long walks in the mountains or beach or around the area. And it's
beautiful.
really nice.
So it's the sacrifice of the time with your yoga community, but the drawing closer to your dog, to your husband, to your time together. It's beautiful. Yeah. Thank you, Valerie. Anyone else want to share some things that maybe you've had to give up? Todd, are you? Yeah, Todd, do it.
Hey, you know, maybe a little off point, not exactly a sacrifice, but more of an observation kind of following on something someone else said, which is last Saturday when this really first kicked in. You know, normally on a Saturday morning, I would like wake up, okay, I got to go. I got to get to the beach. I got to go for a run so I can come back here, and I got to get my coffee, and I got to, where's my next errand? I got to go to Home Depot and blah, 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 blah. And suddenly I woke up and I said, well, we can't go anywhere today. I spent, you know, extra time just kind of laying around, and then got up and did some exercise and was leisurely around the house and had my coffee and stepped out on the porch, and it was a beautiful sunny day. And I thought to myself, well, boy, I don't have to go anywhere or do anything. And it suddenly, the whole thing felt very peaceful. And I had this aha moment. I said, these Jews are this whole Shabbat thing. They're onto something. Because let's face it, we are a Reformed congregation. I've really never been hey, let's take a rest because it's Shabbat kind of guy. But it suddenly struck me as, wow, this is pretty, they're onto something there.
Thank you, Todd. Yeah, that's beautiful. So the other day I was in my living room, and I was watching this family walk by. It was a mother with two little children. And I actually see them all the time. They live maybe 30 yards from me, like right outside of my window. They live on a corner. I live on a corner. They literally live at the other corner, 30 yards from me. And I see them all the time on the front grass area of their apartment. And I've never talked to them. Never talked to them. And I know that they've lived there for years. I remember the woman being pregnant with her second child. And now I see the second child, but I've never talked to them. And the other day I saw them just walking by the window, and she was wearing a jacket and that was from the March of the Living. And I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna go out there and I'm gonna say hello. And I said, oh, like you're wearing a March of the Living jacket. Did you go on the march? And then she said, no, actually, I work for, I mean, yes, she was on the march many times. She works for the BJE, the Builders of Jewish Education, and she's the director of the March of the Living program. Her name is Liat. And she has these two little children, and we just started chatting. And the two little children said, hey, I know you. You were on TV with Jason on Jason's Power Hour. Jason is our song leader who's been doing all the music. And it turns out that this woman, Liat, is also friends with Jason, who is one of my best friends. And they were on a program together in Israel. And all of a sudden I started speaking with these children. And the daughter's name is Izzy. My daughter's name is Izzy. The son's name is Elon. My son's name is Eli. And right there, and we started talking about hot dogs. We started talking about pizza. We started talking about Shabbat. And the kids, they was like, can we come over your house for Shabbat when there's over weekends? I was like, absolutely, we're going to. And it's beautiful. And at the same time, I had to do, when we go to this, you know, when we go back to these sacrifices, the al chet shechatati, how is it that I've seen these people for years and I never spoke to them? Right? They're my neighbors and I never spoke to them. And it took something like this for me to connect and communicate with these people. And I was like, this is going to be perfect. My daughter's going to be making some cash babysitting with his family. And how is it that I didn't take the time? So it's like the sacrifices that we make running around, and we all live such busy, hectic lives, this opportunity for me to draw closer even just to my neighbors. And I'm wondering, has anybody else had any of those experiences, just walk in their neighborhood and meeting neighbors that they had no idea that they didn't even know them? Maybe they saw them or, right?
I got an email from a neighbor who we never talked to. We're going to the market, he said. Do you need anything?
Wow.
So we can use some eggs. Since then, we've become closer. It's sweet people that we ignored, didn't talk to. And now they made this wonderful gesture. And now they talk to us all the time. We're going to the market. What do you need? It's really nice.
That's really, really beautiful, right? That's really, really beautiful and special. One of the things that it's like, yes, and I really hope when all this cuckoo-ness is over, which I do believe it will be over, right? I don't know when, but it will be, that we don't, yes, we go back to our lives, but we don't go back to our lives in the same way, right? I don't want to go back to not talking to the people across the street, right? I want to keep talking to them and meeting new people. Right? I don't want it to go back to quote unquote normal, because I'm learning that normal wasn't so good. It could always be better. Yeah, Talia, unmute yourself, go.
Hi. The question you asked before, what it brought up for me was, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, great. The awareness of, so I've always been like, like animal rights activist and all of that. But then now, because I'm so having to look at my own life and the details, like with that sacrifice, you asked, like, why are all the details of everything?
Yeah.
Like I'm really seeing, I don't always use like biodegradable bags when I pick up after my dogs. Like that's a big thing I want to change. Like all those little things that I thought I was like, I drove my Prius for 13 years. I did this, I did that. But like now it's like the mirror is up and I'm looking at every action that I take every day and how that affects everything. Of course, not going out and socializing, but this is bringing it down to like the nitty gritty. Every little action has an effect. And I'm only left to be able to sit and look at those details. And I wonder if back then they were in so much detail about the sacrifice, because not that their worlds were smaller, but we get that expansiveness of the media, which is at internet that's helping us now, but at the same time, then they didn't have it. So the details, and like what brought them closer, like you always say, like what brings us closer to God. Like instead of bringing God, a rabbi mentioned that about bringing God, I think it was Rabbi Leader talked about prayer is so that we don't bring God to us, that we bring ourselves closer to God. And so how do we do that? But in every little action. So anyway, that's just what's been kind of weighing on my mind.
That's beautiful.
Yeah, tissues.
Going to get tissues. Okay, go get some tissues. Michael, I didn't see if you're raising your hand or not. Michael, would you like to share something that you feel like you've had to sacrifice in order to bring yourself closer? I'm going to unmute you if you.
But how do I unmute this?
I just did it.
Oh, okay. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So what I'm sacrificing is personal contact with people.
Yeah.
But what you or somebody else said is I'm having more. You were talking about your uncle and your family and how you have more conversations now. And I'm having more conversations with my sister and brother-in-law and my niece and my nephew and their spouses. And I think even though they live in New York and I live here, we're now becoming closer as a family because of this than we were before. So I think that's a benefit from the hardships we're having now.
Beautiful. Thank you, Michael. I appreciate that, and I appreciate you. And actually, with that, that's a beautiful way to continue on. I want to offer everyone Shabbat blessing, right? That it's very interesting. This idea of Gam ze ya'avor, meaning this too shall pass. But in not just this way of like, I really hope for this all to pass, but we also understand that the things that maybe we took for granted, right? That our family would be there, that our friends would be there. Oh, the neighbor, I don't need to talk to them today. Oh, I'll talk to them another time. That those things are not always going to be available to us. And we need to take advantage of all of those opportunities because those, as we saw, have passed as well, but they will return. So with that, I want to offer everyone to please stay safe, stay healthy, stay smart, and we will get through this together and come out on the other side, I think, better and closer together. So with that, my friends, I say Shabbat Shalom to all of you. And
Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
Everyone stay safe.
Stay safe, stay smart, stay healthy. Love to all of you. Thanks for joining me. So fun. You guys are great. Bye.
Bye, everyone.
Who is that man? You don't know.
You guys are so cute. Oh, I love it.
Who is she? I don't know. I do know. She's Talia.
Well, hopefully I'll see you at services again someday in the future soon.
Shabbat Shalom. I guess we're done. Yeah, we signed off.